What is up, my peeps? Welcome to the latest edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I am the conquistador, Dave Height.
Welcome. We're taping here on March the 9th, 2022. This will hit as soon as we are done.
Bum, 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 bum.
Just when you think you've gotten away from the NFL, just when you think they've let you go, they pull you back in.
No, they didn't just pull you back in. They drug you.
They got you by the short hairs.
This was, wow, what a week. What a couple of days.
Yeah, the last couple days were really the one. I mean, we were going to talk about the combine and a couple rumors and things like that, but the last 24 to 48 hours have been crazy.
Yeah, quarterback. Absolute chaos.
And it's setting up for, as I've heard many people say here today, the craziest roulette quarterback situation we are ever going to see in one off season.
Oh my God.
Because basically teams are dropping a quarterback to take another quarterback, which opens up another spot on another team.
Yeah, so how many of these backups are going to wind up getting an opportunity? I mean, it's just insane.
And, of course, the prima donna, the lateral thinker, makes his big pronunciation, his big proclamation, his big announcement. I am staying with Green Bay. Oh, but wait.
It gets better.
I haven't signed anything yet, so you can't go out and report what my contract is. Now, by all accounts, it's going to be 4 years, $200 million, with a little over 150 guaranteed. But he won't say that because
He's just Aaron Rodgers. He's a douchebag prima donna.
He's an attention whore because I think he was mad because he jumped out there with Pat McAfee and said he's staying in Green Bay. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, Aaron, you're not the big news of the day because Seattle has just traded
everything.
Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Yeah, for everything on the Broncos side.
What is it? The Broncos are giving up Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2 first-round picks in 2022 and 2023, 2 second-round picks in 22 and 23, and a 5th in 22.
And then I think the Seattle Seahawks are giving back a 4th.
They're giving back a 4th this year. Yeah.
Ooh. Now, let me ask you this. I've been dying to ask you this for the last day since the news broke, the last 18 hours, let's say. And it's on the mind of any diehard football fan. Who got the better of this deal?
Oof, man.
See, I will go out there and I will say I would have taken the deal if I was Seattle and be ecstatic.
Yeah, you get all those picks.
Drew Lock is...
He will be serviceable.
He's a throwaway. He's a backup. They've got to have other plans.
Yeah.
I hope it's not Geno Smith. They've got to have other plans for that pick, whether it's drafting a quarterback this year or bringing in a third quarterback to compete with the other two. Noah Fant is immediately a starter, a top-level tight end in the NFC.
Big time.
And Shelby, I've heard... I didn't know anything about Shelby. People are saying he is a steal. He might be the steal of the entire deal.
Yeah, I would say he is the one player that Seattle got that really maybe half the draft picks and Harris should have been enough to have gotten you Wilson.
And we'll get to the other transaction that broke a couple hours ago as we tape here. That will show what you're saying. I completely agree with you, and it will show and prove that you are correct.
Yeah, that Denver overpaid for Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I believe so. I definitely believe so. And we're not even considering the fact that he is going into the toughest division now by far.
Yeah, coming off his worst season, coming off the injury.
And the finger injury is nothing to worry about.
No, it's not. But when he came back, supposedly healthy, he didn't look all that great.
I will stick up for him on that because I don't know how much they pushed him in trying to salvage something from the season.
Yeah.
You don't know if that finger was completely healed. If I'm Denver, the good thing is it's not legs.
Right.
It's not a shoulder. This is something that now will be completely healed for 2022.
This is now with Denver and Josh McDaniels. No, sorry.
No, this is the Nathaniel Hackett. Because remember, they lured him over from Green Bay thinking they were going to be able to get Aaron Rodgers.
With Hackett, sorry.
No, McDaniels is in Vegas in the same division now.
Yeah, that's going to be the intriguing part. No, this will be interesting to see if they allow Wilson to fully run an offense, throw deep consistently, and not just be a game manager. Does he have the skill set to do it? Well, because you kind of had to wonder in Seattle why they were holding him back.
Well, the thing that's interesting to me is you didn't really get better weapons moving from Seattle to Denver. Now, what you've got is a better defense. So at least you know the other side of the ball is solid.
Right, which you used to have in Seattle.
Right, but not for the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
The Legion of Boom is no more. And, of course, they're saying now they're going to cut Bobby Wagner, too. Really the last remnant of that great defense. Of course, they botched the trade getting Jamal Adams from the Jets. He turned out to be
a bust.
Mediocre at best. So now they're getting at least a pick or two back.
Yeah, to try and shore things up.
Right.
But,
but I don't
with Noah Fant, that was the big weapon that the Broncos had on offense as a receiver.
Right. That's what I'm saying, too, is that I look at DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in Seattle, and then I look at Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and I go, I'd kind of rather have Seattle's receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, Metcalf is a beast. So to me, it's almost a downgrade. And I don't think the running games are
they're
a wash.
About a wash, yeah.
But again, you kind of look at the defense, and at least Russell can say, I know the defense will at least be competent, whereas the Legion of Boom is no more.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? Who is he going to throw to?
Right. Again, I think Seattle made out like bandits.
They did.
If you're going to rebuild and blow it up, this is what you've got to do.
Yeah, they definitely held Denver for ransom.
Obviously, multiple bidders were involved here. So,
yeah, the poor Commanders.
Which is the trade I'm talking about that just broke here this afternoon that proves Dave's point about how I believe Seattle stole from the Broncos and the Broncos overpaid.
Yeah. Now, granted, they're two different quality of quarterbacks.
Right.
But Washington got Carson Wentz from the Colts for 2 third-round picks for 2022 and 23. The 23 third could possibly be a second if Wentz plays 70% of the snaps this year. And they have to pay the full $28 million of his contract.
Terrible trade. I mean, all the Colts wanted to do was cut bait.
Right. They got more for Wentz than they probably should have.
And again, we're talking about a couple third-round picks compared to what Seattle got for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Now, nobody's saying Carson Wentz is Russell Wilson, but there's a huge discrepancy there between the price paid for Wilson and the price paid for Wentz. Would I have touched Carson Wentz with a 10-foot pole?
Hell no.
No.
Not even
How is
close.
he that much better than Heineke?
He's not. We don't even know if Wentz is going to be able to stay healthy for him.
And I don't know. I was having a brain fart today after I heard about this. Maybe you can help me out with this. Can you think of a quarterback who has been given not 1, not 2, but 3 shots legitimate shots at being the starting quarterback for 3 different teams over the span of 7 or 8 years. I can't think of one. I can't.
There's a lot with 2.
Right. Well, of course, somebody's always going to think they can turn a bust. We're going to probably see it with Mitchell Trubisky here this year.
Probably. Odds are.
This is 3 times already with Carson Wentz.
Where they're banking on him being the go-to guy.
Right. I can't think of anybody. Not Nick Foles, Kurt Warner. But Kurt Warner, when they brought him into New York, really wasn't.
No.
Was he really thought of as a starter at that point?
No, not at that point. He was more thought of as the backup.
Right.
No, not even Jeff George back in the day.
Colts, Falcons. Yeah, I can't think of a third team. But this is the arrogance, the hubris of all these coaches and these GMs.
Well, how many shots was Glennon given to be a starter?
I think he only had 2.
The Bears and
Tampa. Yeah. The Giants. He started for the Giants last year, but that was not the plan.
Brought in as a backup
because Daniel Jones got hurt.
Right.
So of course I'm talking about
full-on
you get brought in. You are the starter. No competition.
Yeah.
You are the man. And this is the 3rd one for Wentz already. In what? Is it 8, 7 years? 6 years?
Yeah, well, could we see it with Bridgewater?
Oh my God, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater. But it's almost like with Wentz, they still seem like they think they can make him a long-term starter, where Bridgewater, it's almost like
they know he's going to be a stopgap.
He's a gap, yeah. Yeah, with the Panthers, the Broncos. God, you're right. Maybe Bridgewater. Because he was the man in Minnesota. He was never thought to be the number 1 guy. They were just thinking, we'll put in Teddy for a year or 2, see how it works out, and draft somebody if we need to. But that's not a bad call, man. Very good call. Hey, go ahead. Message us. Go to our Facebook page. Tell us who you can think of, who's had not 1, not 2, but 3 shots at being the man at quarterback here in recent memory in the NFL.
More deals, though. We got franchise tags that hit. Most notably, up in Green Bay, they tagged Davante Adams, $18.4 million, to keep him up there for Rodgers to throw to. Can they actually sign him to a long-term deal? They're still in salary cap trouble.
Well, now, and that's something I do want to bring up, is that we've talked about that ever since the Super Bowl ended, how there are a lot of teams that were in cap hell. The good news for them is that because we're getting a bounce back from COVID, the salary cap is up $25.7 million up to $208.2 million total. So there is going to be more room for these teams to work with than they initially thought. But I agree with you. And here's the arrogance of Aaron Rodgers. His comment, he doesn't understand how he undermines his team.
Yeah.
We all know this whole Rodgers-Adams thing was tied together.
Yeah, and so now he's making Adams think he's having second thoughts?
Well, not second thoughts, but who knows how much money they've got to work with to sign Davante Adams. I don't think they really wanted to franchise tag him because Adams has said, I don't want to play under the tag.
Right.
We know they have time to negotiate. But Rodgers saying, I haven't signed anything yet. You
so
don't
he's
know how
screwing
much...
the team again.
That's what I'm saying. Again. If you want Davante Adams back, don't leave him hanging by leaving the rest of us hanging.
Is the worst teammate out there.
Oh, and he's back with Shailene Woodley again.
Yeah,
too.
I saw that.
They got off the private plane together.
Oh, they reconnected at a wedding, and it was whatever. Who cares?
She's going to be fat someday. That's the only thing I could think. I looked at her little pudgy face, and I thought, she's going to be fat. She's going to be like Kelly Clarkson in 10 years, man.
Wow.
And then Aaron's going to dump her do a 12-day cleanse.
Yeah, there you go.
Grow his hair out.
Uh,
End up looking like Jerry Garcia and move on to somebody else.
Yep. So what? A couple of signings we got. The Titans signed Harold Landry to a 5-year, $87.5 million deal, $52.5 guaranteed. Not bad for shoring up that defense.
Yep. And
That'll
again,
be good
the
for
reason
them.
why we like the NFL is these numbers sound big and huge, but only part of it is guaranteed.
That's the beauty of it.
Right. And we'll
Baseball.
Get to baseball later.
Chargers signed wide receiver Mike Williams.
That's a dumb contract. That is a dumb contract.
40 guaranteed.
That is a dumb, stupid contract. Mike Williams is not worth even close to that money.
No,
he's the number 2 receiver.
Half.
Number 2. Again, how much did you say the tag is going to be for Davante Adams?
18.4.
Davante Adams is no doubt the best receiver in the NFL. Mike Williams might not even be top 15, and he's getting basically more.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
If you go per year.
That's ridiculous.
Stupid contract, dumb contract. I don't like it. This is why the Chargers somehow, they draft well, they bring in good players, good young players, and then they fuck it up.
Yep, they screw themselves over from making that next step to get better.
So now what happens with Keenan Allen? The number 1 receiver.
Yeah. How much do they have to give him?
Right. He's going to want 25. I hate that contract. The minute you said Mike Williams, I had to go off.
Oh, I don't blame you. I saw that. I'm like,
that.
What the hell are they thinking? He's useless.
Yeah.
He's absolutely useless.
And I had him on one of my fantasy teams. I know you're going to go, oh, here we go. The guy is so inconsistent. He will have games where he catches 2 balls for 40 yards, and then he'll have one big game and fall asleep again for another 2 weeks. Yeah. I don't want that type of player on my team.
I want the consistent receiver.
A bad game for a $20 million a year receiver should be 5 catches, 75 yards. Minimum, bare minimum, awful day up against a stud cornerback.
Exactly. And he's still going to make an impact.
Right.
And odds are he's probably going to get a score, too, in that.
Right. Now, Jamar Chase did that early on in his rookie year, and look what happened. He blossomed. Now you can't stop him. But Mike Williams has been in the league for years.
Yeah. And
so what's his excuse?
He's lazy.
Cooper Kupp would never have a game with 2 catches for like 20 yards.
Never.
Cooper Kupp, worst game, 5 catches, 80 yards.
Yep. And he was still made an impact because the other receivers benefited.
Robert Woods, Odell Beckham, Van Jefferson. They did not draw the other team's best corner.
Exactly.
Yeah, terrible signing. Terrible contract. So, of course, we talked about Troy Aikman going into the ESPN Monday night booth. He's come out now and said that Fox didn't even bother to counteroffer.
Wow.
They just said, hey, see ya. Congrats on the new deal.
Wow.
So now he's implying that he wants to kind of bring Joe Buck with him.
There's rumblings that Joe probably would join if ESPN would pony it up.
Yep. And now we did get confirmation Kirk Herbstreit will be the color analyst for Amazon on their exclusive Thursday night deal.
Yep. Still
waiting on Al Michaels. I'm hearing Fox is pretty much going to be the one that goes cheap. They're not going to shell out $17, $18 million for a Romo or an Aikman. They're probably going to bump up Greg Olsen, I've heard.
That would be fine.
To the number 1.
Olsen has blossomed quickly.
But what they did, they gave him a couple years to grow into the role.
Yeah.
And I agree. He's very good. As long as Aqib Talib stays the fuck away from any game I'm watching. Because my mute button is wearing out every time he is doing a Bears game. But now, of course, because the Monday night booth has imploded, Of course, the Bears could have had Louis Riddick as their GM, but I
no.
digress. But Brian Griese will now be the 49ers quarterback coach.
Yep. How about that?
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yep.
So, Panthers now, no deals are out there. They don't intend to trade him, but they're willing to listen to any offer for the China doll, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, the Giants are saying the same thing about Saquon Barkley, too, because the value of the running back in the NFL keeps
going
degrading
away.
And degrading.
Yeah. You'd be lucky if a running back gets drafted before the third round this year.
Maybe second, because I've heard the guy that we were propping up, we couldn't understand why he wasn't a front runner for the Heisman, Kenneth Walker, out of Michigan State, had a great combine.
Yeah.
And so they're saying he might slip into the second round.
Crazy.
Even though 10 years ago, 10 years ago, he would have been a high first-round pick.
Yep.
But again, because the running back position has been so devalued, we've seen what happened with Zeke in Dallas. We've seen Barkley.
McCaffrey.
Right. So now the Steelers look smart waiting until the end of the first round last year to get Najee Harris. Again, a guy 10 years ago would have been a top 5. Yeah.
Yep. Crazy time.
Yep.
So now, NFL, all the gambling deals that they have in place. What happens? Calvin Ridley suspended for a year for betting on football.
And I knew there was something. Of course, I was the idiot that drafted him in the third round in our fantasy league. But again, all the things that happened during the 2021 season with him, he did not travel to London for their game against the Jets. I knew something was up then. I knew there was something going on then. Then, of course, he says, I got to take a mental health break.
Yeah.
And now this comes out.
Gamblers Anonymous and duh.
Oh, but he doesn't have a gambling problem because he only bet $1,500 on 3 parlays.
Yeah, right, that you're admitting to.
And there's some people out there that say a year is too harsh.
No, you cannot bet on your sport.
Ask Pete Rose.
You cannot bet on your sport. He's lucky it's only a year. Any other sport, he would have had a lifetime ban.
Yeah, I agree. That is a no-no. That is an absolute no-no. And we have talked about this ever since the podcast started and before that about now we're getting into Las Vegas. Now we're putting a team in the NFL in Las Vegas. Now betting is getting legalized all across the country. Watch out.
Yep, and Pandora's box has been opened, and she's wreaking havoc.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Absolutely. All right. I got some fun stuff for you. Last week, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram put a list together of the top 20 most hated players, coaches, owners, or family members in the NFL based on negative tweets in the month of December 2021. Number 20, Robert Kraft. 19, Zeke Elliott. Richard Sherman at 18.
Wow, okay, good.
17, Brittney Matthews. Patrick Mahomes' fiance.
Yep.
16, Jalen Ramsey. 15, Deshaun Jackson. Josh McDaniels at 14. Kirk Cousins, 13. Jerry Jones only at 12.
I knew he was going to make it. I
thought for sure a top 5. 11, Cam Newton. Now, this should have been higher. Dan Snyder at 10. Baker Mayfield at 9. Roger Goodell at 8. Tyreek Hill at 7.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Number 6, your favorite, Jackson Mahomes.
So
Patrick's brother.
Jesus. So his brother and his fiance both made the top 20.
Number 5, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
4, OBJ. 3, Bill Belichick, 2, Antonio Brown, and your number 1 most hated person in the NFL, Mr. Lateral Thinker, Aaron Rodgers.
That makes me happy. That makes me happy. That we're not on an
by
island
a landslide.
Because of course we're Bears fans.
By a landslide.
We are Bears fans, so we're biased when it comes to Rodgers. So it just makes me feel better that we know now there are other people out there outside the Chicago NFC North realm that despise him and hate his guts. So that makes me feel good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought you'd appreciate that list.
Yep. Some other NFL news we got to hit on. Looks like Amari Cooper could be out in Dallas. And I've heard, believe it or not, I've heard, believe it or not, a lot of teams are going to go after him. But I can't believe, again, if they're giving Mike Williams $20 million, even though Amari Cooper to me is not even a top 10, top 12 receiver in the league,
he's going to command more than that. Ugh, God.
And then just when you think the Cardinals are going to implode, Kyler Murray's pulling all his Cardinal stuff off of social media. Cliff Kingsbury and GM Steve Keim are extended through 2027. And now I've heard that Kyler Murray's putting all his Cardinal stuff back up on his Instagram and his Twitter.
Why would he want to tie him? Good Lord.
So the Cardinals are now, looks like they are in.
On
with the
all
Kingsbury,
of them.
Kyler Murray, Steve Keim, triumvirate.
Oof.
Here's hoping
Good luck
DeAndre Hopkins actually shows up to play. J.J. Watt shows up to play.
Miracles could happen, maybe.
A.J. Brown or A.J. Green shows up with a walker.
And he's still playing better than anybody.
God. Of course, the Combine. Kenny Pickett's got small hands. We all know what that means. No, but they're saying he would have, when he will get drafted.
Yeah.
Will have the smallest hands of any current quarterback in the NFL at 8.5 inches. Now, I looked at some of the research. Some of the quarterbacks that have had fumbling issues, Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's got about 3/4 of a foot more span than he does. And he's got fumbling issues. But there are other quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, I believe, is just barely bigger than what Kenny Pickett's got. So I don't know if he can really judge. I don't know if he can.
It's all on hand strength. It's all on your, what is it? Your practice, how you carry yourself, your preparation.
I agree. And of course, he felt the pressure. He thought, oh, I'm doing hand exercises. I'm doing things to stretch out my hand. In the end, when
what, is he going to wind up having his hand broken and extra bones extended in there?
If the guy is smart enough and the guy knows how to throw a football and stays out of trouble, I don't see where the hand size matters.
It doesn't. And if you have the presence to be able to pull it back in, hell, everybody's got fumbling issues if the ball's going to get hit.
And again, the first person that came to mind was Russell Wilson.
Right.
Of current quarterbacks. And when I saw that his hands were almost a full, 1 inch bigger span, and with all the issues he's had, I'm like,
what does it matter?
Yeah, what does it matter? And then Burrows are smaller.
Let's see if the kid can play.
Sorry. I'm getting all confused about measurements and what I'm supposed to be measuring and small hands.
You lost track of time, didn't you?
Well, I keep thinking of the small hands, what that means. Big feet, small hands, big,
egos.
Big jock straps. Yeah. It's all myth, people. You can have a niblet down there and still be a great quarterback.
That's right.
We've got to wrap up here for segment 1. We've got a couple more things to talk about with the Combine, with the NFL as we go into segment 2. And then, of course, we've got to deal with the idiots in baseball.
Yep. So stay tuned.
Hey kids, ready for a blast of dairy goodness? Pick up Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk at your local grocery store. Remember, when you drink Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk, you're not only enjoying a healthy treat, you're helping to locate missing sports heroes of the past and present. Our cartons and jugs feature pictures of Peng Shui, Ryan Leaf, and Sammy Sosa as we do our part to find the lost icons of the last 30 years. And don't forget our special weekend edition chocolate milk containers, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, because they feature celebrities like Lindsay Lohan, Helen Hunt, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Pick up a gallon today.
Welcome back for segment 2 of Sports Frenzy 2.0. Here taping on March 9th, 2022. This will drop Thursday the 10th. I'm the Conquistador Dave Height.
Along with the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And continuing on talking about the NFL and the Combine.
Yep, we have got other news. Of course, we've just talked about Kenny Pickett's small hands and his niblet or whatever he's got down there below the waist.
Niblets and giblets.
Of course, other news from the Combine, the wide receiver speeds were unbelievable, the 40 times. So everybody's drooling over all these wide receivers.
Which I just want to say, well and good, but can they catch the damn ball?
Thank you, Dave.
Can they run a route?
They get crazy about the speed.
Can they catch? Can they run a route?
Not everybody's going to turn out to be Tyreek Hill. And as I know, because you had him on your fantasy team, there are times when he doesn't show up.
Yeah, where he gets shut down.
Right. So speed is not everything.
No.
Ask Bill Belichick when he had Wes Welker and Danny Amendola, all the slow white guys who would just run the slot patterns, catch 8 or 10 a game.
Who this year was the best route runner?
Would that be Mr. Cooper Kupp?
Yes, our MVP.
So we're not saying anything about white or black. We're just saying,
give me a good possession guy. It doesn't
Troy Brown
matter.
For the Patriots years ago was that guy.
Yeah.
You know, just give me a guy who can run 8 or 10 yards, open up the defense just enough so we can run the ball, we can do play action, every once in a while take a shot down the field. But Bill Belichick has shown you don't have to have a burner. He had Randy Moss for 1 year. Outside of that, he has never had a stellar wide receiver. Yet, how many rings has he got?
Exactly.
So, yeah, don't get enamored with these 40 times.
It's not all it's cracked
you player
up to
personnel geniuses out there. Now, of course, Jordan Davis, this guy I would want with the Bears. If there was any way, of course, the Bears don't have a first-round pick. Jordan Davis, the Georgia offensive tackle, ran a 4.78 40. Kids, he is 6'6" and 341 pounds.
That's a lot of human.
And he had a 10-foot-3-inch broad jump. Now, the speed, let me put this into perspective for you, and I don't mean to rip on Notre Dame, Dave's team, but we talked about Kyron Williams leaving. I thought it was a mistake. Kyron Williams, a running back, ran a 4.65 40. Jordan Davis ran a 4.78 at 6'6" and 341 pounds.
That's an athletic human.
And it also tells you Kyron Williams is not ready.
No.
He was the slowest at the combine of all running backs. This was a dumb move on his part.
Bad. We talked about it before. He was a year too soon.
Yep. And we've already talked about and discussed the devaluation of the running back.
Right.
So now with putting up bad numbers like this, is he going to even get drafted?
That's a damn good question.
Now, of course, to rip on my team, the Miami Hurricanes, now luckily they moved on early in the season from Derek King, who was the next great Hurricanes quarterback, and I could have told you he wasn't. He's right up there with Kenny Kelly. in terms of, we're gonna have a running mobile quarterback. That is
doesn't
not
work.
how it works for Miami. You need a straight drop back passer. You need a Ken Dorsey. You need a Jim Kelly. You need a Bernie Kosar. Now they've got that guy, but Derek King now, of course, is moving on to the NFL. Now he's begging and pleading with teams, basically saying,
please come to my pro day.
Well, he's saying, I will play wide receiver. I will play special teams.
I will do whatever it takes.
So he's trying to do the whole, Terrell Pryor thing.
Yeah, not going to happen, kid.
No, I don't think he's going to make it.
He's going to be undrafted on a practice squad. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now, if he could find a spot other than quarterback, it would be nice to have him for trick plays. Have a guy who could play quarterback who's not a quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. You mean kind of like New Orleans has?
But he's officially a quarterback. That's the problem.
That's the sad thing.
I was thinking more about the Super Bowl with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon throws a touchdown pass to T. Higgins in the Super Bowl. Have a guy like Derek King, if he could play somewhere else, find a way to get on a roster, to have him
as
be able
that
to come
potential
right
big play possibility.
Yep. And of course, the NFL has finally, wisely, as many other places, establishments, businesses are doing, has halted all COVID testing. Thank God. Are we back to normal yet?
Not yet.
Inching closer.
We're inching closer. I hate to bring politics into it, but there are some big political ramifications this year. It's an election year. They have to deal with the war in the Ukraine, rising inflation, skyrocketing gas prices. They have to do what they can to take everybody's eyes off of that stuff by alleviating the COVID shit. It's all a shell game, kids. It's all a shell game.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Wrapping up, we don't have any Bears news. God.
There's nothing.
Maybe no news is good news with the Bears.
What was it? Last week, the head coach wound up on Sports Center and gave one of the worst interviews I've ever heard.
Yeah. This is just, I don't even want to think about what the Bears are going to do this year. Justin Fields is going to be wasted, just like Mitch Trubisky.
Yep.
But I do have to bring up the Buccaneers. Again, we're talking about these crazy contracts Mike Williams getting. I have to keep harping on this because this is such a stupid contract, setting the market for wide receivers. Now, Chris Godwin, of course, the Bucs had to franchise him to keep him.
Right.
So he's going to get the same as Devontae Adams. And, of course, the Bucs are hoping to get him locked up long term.
But they have to wait to see what Brady's going to do.
Yeah, because now we're hearing, is he retired? Is he not retired? Is this going to be one of those things? Now, I don't want him to turn into Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, so God, please don't tarnish. Tarnish your reputation.
I would just hope he just goes off into the sunset right now. Just let the Buccaneers
make the decision.
Have an idea that they need to go out and find a quarterback. Because, again, we talked about this whole roulette thing now. Now the Colts need a quarterback. Now the Seahawks need a quarterback. The Bucs need a quarterback. So now who's going to shift it? Where's Jimmy G going? Now Jimmy G's price is going up and up and up because of all these moves.
Desperation.
Yep. But finally, I have to go to the Dolphins. I have to go to your Dolphins. And the Combine, I know we talked about the actual performances of the players at the Combine, but there are some really interesting quotes from your new head coach.
Oh, God.
Dude, I think he's been hanging around with Jeff Spicoli too much.
Don't come out of the van, man.
He sounds like a freaking stoner.
He's coming out of California where it's legal. What do you expect?
Oh, my God. I have heard at least 3 or 4 quotes from him at the Combine where he just sounds like he's baked.
Yeah,
He
it
sounds
wasn't
like
good.
he's baked.
It wasn't good.
Let's hope. Hope.
Dude, get out of the California mindset.
Now, he does have a
man.
degree from the Ivy League, so he's not an idiot. But boy, he's like the opposite of Eberflus. Eberflus is the second coming of Mark Trestman, the most boring, cadaverous human beings on the. And then you've got the dude. Well, what if we took the ball and we put it in another dimension?
Well,
we throw it through a wormhole, and then the receiver's on the other side of the wormhole.
I'm here and you're here. Isn't it our time?
Oh my God! And he's talking about freaking White Castle, I think.
God, that's
He's talking about some fast food joint. Yeah, I saw White Castle, man. I was coming down to Miami, saw White Castle. I'm like,
dude,
right.
I hit the White Castle and the Waffle House.
Crystal Burger. Yeah.
And then I rolled into town at like 3 a.m. There was Taco Bell just calling for me, man.
I had to write down. Well, I didn't want to write while I was driving, but I didn't have both hands on the wheel anyway, but I wanted to write down the exit of where that was.
Oh, God, we're effed.
Watch, he's going to win 7 Super Bowls. he's going to turn Tua into Tom Brady.
If only. All
right. Unfortunately, it's probably time to turn to baseball. The idiots on both sides of this
greedy,
lockout,
money-grubbing,
debate, argument.
Douchebags.
Every week we get teased. Oh, they're going to figure it out. And then something happens to screw things up. Now it's the international draft today.
The players have an issue with the international draft.
And like I told you off mic, this could be the argument that turns public sentiment in the favor of the owners, because the owners have agreed to up the luxury tax threshold, which I don't like.
That's bullshit. They need to focus on the damn floor, a hard floor.
80, 90, $100 million, make the Pirates, make not the Indians, the Guardians, even make the Rays pay more. That will help salaries. That helps the collective, doesn't it?
More players will be paid with a hard floor than will be paid with an increase to the cap.
Yeah, because you got 5 teams who will take advantage.
And that increase in the cap gives each of those teams one more player. What the hell good does that do?
Well, to me, it upsets me because you increase the ceiling, the luxury tax. That's another $15, $20 million player they can sign to bolster their roster, taking it away from somebody in the middle who might have been able to have that person otherwise.
Right.
It's the White Sox, the Cubs come to mind, our teams.
Yeah. No, it is so damn flawed and skewed, they have no clue.
And again, I think the owners have finally they've come around on a lot of issues. They were agreeing to bump up, again, the luxury tax threshold. The players did concede on a lot of these rule changes that we've talked about. They were willing to go with a pitch clock.
14-second with nobody on base, 19 with the runners on.
Larger bases, which I still don't understand how that helps. But
it's a safety thing.
And limits on the shift, which I agree with.
The limits have to be in there.
The more I think about it, the more I agree with that. Because if football can tell you how to line up your offensive line, how to line up in terms of who's on the line, who can be back, who can go in motion.
Right. Then baseball can tell you where to line up on the field.
You can't have more than 2 guys on either side of second base, and they can't be off the dirt. That doesn't seem unreasonable. The more I think about it, that should be put into play in the rule book immediately.
Yeah. See, I don't have a problem with playing off the dirt. But I have a problem with more than 2 on either side of the base.
No, I think it should be on the dirt. The dirt, I don't want any of the infielders on the grass. And again, there are people out there, and I can't argue with them, who say the players, the hitters, should be better at hitting to the opposite field.
Yeah, maybe. But you look at all the goofy-ass pitches that they have anymore. You can't just try and hit to the opposite field on a whim.
And I think
you can try to, but you're not going to be able to do it regularly.
Well, and I think sabermetrics is what's causing that, which I can't stand. The stat geeks, the numbers geeks that all these teams are hiring, the launch angle and the exit velocity, hit a home run or strike out. It's better if you hit a home run or strike out.
No, it's not. I want base hit after base hit after base hit.
Can you imagine a guy like Rod Carew or Tony Gwynn in this day and age? They would be vilified. They would be. Well, Frank Thomas was the best of all possible worlds. Frank Thomas had power and could hit for average. He would still be okay. He's like a Mike Trout. But a guy like Rod Carew or a guy like Tony Gwynn, who are able to hit for 330, 340 every year, but weren't hitting for power, they wouldn't even get to play every day.
No, and that's pathetic.
It's garbage.
The stat geeks are killing sports.
Yes, they are. Of course, it doesn't matter. We're in a lockout. Somehow, Apple TV Plus gets
Friday night
baseball doubleheader. How does that happen?
They're hoping.
Again, the problem. I have already told you people going into last year. As a diehard, lifelong Cubs fan, they are losing me with this stupid marquee network crap. And now talking about, we'll let you stream it for $20 a month.
No!
And now you're going to put exclusively 2 games on Friday night on Apple TV+.
You are absolutely killing your fan base. You are not doing anything to try and grow your fan base.
This has nothing to do with the NFL going to Amazon. I don't like that either, but at least I know there are a lot more people, millions upon millions more people accessing Amazon Prime than there are Apple TV+.
The streaming crap is going to kill sports. Baseball, if they don't have anything done by this time next week, for all intents and purposes, that sport is going to be dead. I think diehard baseball fans are so damn fed up at this point, they're going to bail. I am on the verge of bailing on the sport that I love, that I played all going through high school. It's frustrating as hell.
You at least have access on your basic cable package to watch your team.
That's true.
I can't.
Because of the greed of the Cubs.
Yes, and speaking of which, I heard this last week and it blew my freaking mind. The owner, the great and glorious owner, Ricketts, of the Cubs, who was crying poverty all through the COVID year.
Right.
Oh, we can't. And of course, he put out a piece of crap there for David Ross to manage last year. Got rid of Rizzo, got rid of Bryant, got rid of Baez. Now he's got enough money to try to put a bid in to buy Chelsea, one of the biggest soccer teams in the fucking world. Now he's got the money all of a sudden to do that.
That's because of what he's saved on his baseball players.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I'm going to put the marquee network out there, and if you people want to watch the Cubs, you got to pony up.
Screw you.
Yeah, this is where I'm with you. Fuck you. Fuck baseball. Get your asses in gear. Figure out what your fans need, what your fans want. Otherwise, you're going down in flames.
You're done. You are done.
And here's another final example with baseball before we move on. And I love this one because I think this guy is a piece of shit. I've never liked him when he was on Yahoo, and then he gets the big money to move over to ESPN. Now he's their #1 baseball guy, Jeff Passan.
Oh, he's an asshole.
Every time they showed him at his little home You look around my little home office, I've got Walter Payton, I've got Rusty Wallace, I've got Night Ranger and Van Halen. His little home office, whenever they showed him, dropping his little nuggets of baseball information, he's got Radiohead, Rage Against the Machine, Weezer behind him.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a little millennial pissant, and now he doesn't see the problem. Thank God ESPN suspended him. So he is not covering any of this labor stuff anymore because he was actually texting players, telling them a week and a half ago, and I am paraphrasing, but I'm damn close here. He's saying, are you guys really going to agree to this shit sandwich of a deal?
Oh, my God. This guy needs to be banned from reporting permanently.
But again, this is the problem with the media. He won't be. I'm shocked, number one, they suspended him.
He should be
He'll
banned.
be back the minute these labor negotiations
are done. He should freaking be banned from all broadcast networks.
Inserting himself into the middle of the negotiations.
From any media outlet, period. Be it written, televised, radio, banned from clubhouses.
But ESPN encourages this. What was it? Brian Windhorst did this with the NBA. He did the same type of thing. You don't become the story. You report the story. You don't insert yourself into the middle of the story.
No,
that's called journalistic integrity.
And there is none in this day and age.
No. All right, so we've got a couple minutes left. We're going to save NASCAR for our final segment because we have to give that its due. We've got a lot of topics to talk about, including the Vegas recap and the Phoenix picks coming up this weekend. So NBA and college hoops, of course. March Madness coming up.
It's coming.
I do have to point this out. You know how much I love LeBron James. Everybody's creaming their jeans over the fact he put up 56 points Saturday night. Of course, nationally televised. Had to be a national game on ABC Saturday night. He puts up 56 points, beating the Golden State Warriors. Oh, even though the Lakers are like 12 games under 500 and are going to have to make that.
That is the only game that he's shown up for.
Here's the really funny thing, and it's not just him. It's also Golden State and Steve Kerr. Guess who rested the next game Monday? Both the Lakers and the Warriors. LeBron rested. Steph Curry rested. Klay Thompson rested. Andrew Wiggins rested.
Come on. Seriously?
So, of course, Lakers lost. Warriors lost. But, of course, we've got to give these guys a break. They don't get enough time off.
Bullshit. Tell that to Bird, Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Dr. J, all the greats through the years. They never took days off. My God, how many times did you see Bird on the sideline, on the bench, on the floor, stretching out his back so he could keep playing?
Yep. I find that amazing.
It's offensive
because
as hell.
A Saturday night showcase game. LeBron shows up and throws in 56 against the Warriors, and then not only him but the Warriors.
This is absolute crap.
All have to take the next game off.
This is absolute crap.
And speaking of another coach I hate, like Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich tied Don Nelson, 1,335 regular season wins. Now, of course, Popovich has already got the overall record with playoffs and regular season. So once he gets another regular season win, he will be the be-all, end-all of coaches, even though he's an absolute asshat.
Longevity.
When it comes to being a person. And,
longevity.
Yeah. Jeez. I remember when he stepped down from the front office and took over the Spurs, and nobody knew who he was. And, of course, he got Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and everybody loves him. He thinks he's so smart.
And then he became an asshole.
Yeah.
He started believing his own bullshit.
Now, I have a segue here to go from NBA to college, so bear with me. The final little nugget I've got for the NBA, congrats, kudos to the Bulls' Derrick Jones Jr. this past week. nailing Grayson Allen.
Wasn't that the most beautiful retaliatory move ever?
Nice hip check and elbow. Getting a flagrant one, but it's all good, man.
It was all good. That, well
Grayson
deserved. Grayson Allen is a douchebag.
Freaking player I've seen in ages.
And you know what? Why is he such a dirty-ass player? Because of Coach fucking K.
So that leads us into college basketball.
Thank God his final home game at Camden Arena was a loss. And it couldn't have come better than to the hands of the North Carolina Tar Heels, their biggest rival.
And they kind of got close there at a point, but in the end, they lose by 13, 94-81.
Screw you, Coach K, you overrated piece of garbage, you despicable human.
And that's the thing, man. I don't want to go off on a rant, but I was thinking about him, and I was thinking about guys like Huggins, and then when we get to our dumbasses, I will bring up yet another legendary, quote-unquote, college coach who allows anything and everything to go on in their program.
Yeah.
Why are they all such assholes? Even Coach K had a great reputation for a while. But over the last 10, 15 years, when he started to let in the one and dones, he was one of the holdouts. He was one of the last
ones. But boy, he embraced it wholeheartedly and tarnished who he had been.
Now, you know who the first one and done he let into the program was, right? One of our favorites here on Sports Frenzy, Mr. Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. Who had a frickin' monster game.
Yeah, he put up 50. But again, just like the Lakers with LeBron,
rested.
They're struggling. They're barely keeping their head above water. We'll have to see with the Ben Simmons trade, how that works out. Because James Harden right now is tearing it up.
Which you knew was going to happen.
Yeah. How long will that last? I guarantee the Sixers front office is just hoping it gets through 1 year. If they win this year,
they'll take it and run, and then they'll deal him.
Yep. So, of course, local team Notre Dame going into tomorrow night, the ACC tournament. They are 22-9. They got a double bye.
Whoop-de-doo.
As did the Miami Hurricanes. Same record, 22-9. They also got a double bye. So Notre Dame, Miami, North Carolina, and Duke were the four recipients of that cherished double bye.
Yes. Now, it's nice to have, but really, doesn't it take you out of your routine?
Well, that's what I'm wondering about because, again, I don't want to spoil one of my dumbasses, but it looks like Syracuse is getting on a roll.
I know.
I don't think you want to play Syracuse. They've got their rhythm still playing, still going.
I know, and I hate Boeheim.
Yep. But he's going to get on a roll. You watch.
I know. He's one of those.
I don't know how it's seeded. I don't know who's going to end up getting him tomorrow. With my luck, it'll be the Hurricanes. And Jim Larinaga just got an extension through 25-26. I love the fact the basketball team is better than the football team. And the basketball team's only been around for about 25 years.
There you go.
I don't even know if it's 25 because they shut down that program. When I was there was no basketball program in the 80s. So it'll be fun to see. I think Miami and Notre Dame will both get into the big dance. I think that's a lock.
They should.
We'll see if they embarrass themselves.
I was going to say, if they embarrass themselves here in conference tourney.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. That's, again, why I'm worried about who's going to get Syracuse.
Yeah.
I hope Notre Dame. I hope Mike Bray gets him.
So do I.
For one of the few times I will ever root for Mike Bray.
God help us.
I hope he goes out the night before and does a couple extra shots Forgets to
Loosens
shave.
himself up.
Yep, shows up with a dirty T-shirt stain with gin and vodka and whiskey.
And chunks
and
of pizza.
Beats Jim Boeheim. Oh, look, I think that's a little bit of a
Hey, is that some pepperoni?
stick.
Is that a slice of pepperoni? All right, we need to put this segment to bed.
Yeah, we do. But it's been fun.
Coming back for segment 3.
NASCAR.
We're going to take a left turn.
Our picks for Phoenix and our recap of Las Vegas. Stay tuned, kids. The fun just keeps rolling. We'll be right back.
This episode of Sports Frenzy 2.0 is brought to you by the Bills Mafia Marital Aid Company. Because when you are down and out, we'll bring you back up and in the game. Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We're going to wrap up Sports Frenzy 2.0 for you, but don't forget the weekend edition. Man, have we got tons of movies, music, TV, and streaming stuff to talk about. That will hit this coming Saturday, but for right now, taping here on the 9th of March, 2022, I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
This will hit late tonight, early tomorrow morning, the 10th. We've got a couple other little tidbits to talk about when it comes to college basketball, and then it's all NASCAR. No moments of silence, a couple of quick dumbasses, and we will be out. So, Bryant and Wagner. Who would have thought Bryant and Wagner, those two small schools. Yeah, I think they talk about motorcycle injuries on our local television station. No, we're seeing a lot of these really smaller schools pop up here as they get ready for the NCAA tournament. And I will have, again, foreshadowing yet again, another one coming up here in the dumbasses in a few minutes. But I can't single out anybody on this. Just it's a shame this Bryant and Wagner game turned into a fight in the stands.
Absolutely pathetic.
I think it took half an hour to restore order,
settle everything
and they were
down,
kick fans out, and
there's no reason for this type of behavior.
Dave and I drink a lot of beer, and we have over half a century. Okay, pretty much, and he and I don't get into situations like this.
We don't drink at concerts. We don't drink at sporting events. For one, it's too damn expensive. And two, we don't want to get into stupid situations.
Yeah, so just have a little bit of common sense, people. I don't care if you're 20 years old.
Show some self-decorum, for crying out loud.
I never thought of doing that when I was 20 years old.
Never.
Getting liquored up and going to a basketball game or going to a football game and getting in a fight or spitting or throwing drinks on people. Number one, like Dave said, it's too damn expensive. I'm not throwing a drink on somebody. That's like $8 now.
At least.
I don't understand. Everybody gets angry. Everybody gets pissed off. Of course, Dave and I have this wonderful podcast where we can vent and get our frustrations out. But you don't need to go out to a college game, take your shirt off, because that's the one image that I saw from this, is some kid didn't have a shirt on, throwing his Pepsi, which I'm sure didn't have any kind of clear liquor in it whatsoever. Yeah. And another fan or a coach or another player. I don't get it. Thank God it was not as bad as the malice at the Palace. That whole thing where the players actually went up and started beating on fans.
Yeah, that was bad.
And of course, the one other thing I've got to bring up, and I don't want to rip on Patrick Ewing because I know he used to be a former assistant coach for my Orlando Magic, And he's tried through the years. He has tried to work his way through the system. He has tried to become a head coach, and he finally got to be a head coach at his alma mater, Georgetown. But, oh, my God, a 20-game losing streak right now.
Bad. That's, not all former players are cut out to be head coaches.
Yeah, and Georgetown, that's the thing. Georgetown, Dave and I both remember when we were younger, they were a powerhouse.
John Thompson.
Of course, the classic Georgetown, North Carolina championship game, Michael Jordan. Oh, man. That was, if not one of the greatest championships of all time.
Phenomenal battle on the court.
And again, I'm not ripping on Patrick Ewing because I know he has tried, and he has worked and paid his dues. But, man, a 20-game losing streak at a former great school for basketball like Georgetown, wow.
That hurts.
That's harsh. All right. NASCAR and racing. Now, I don't want to bring up politics, but it seems like this whole Russia-Ukraine thing is leaking into NASCAR and racing a lot more than it is with other sports. Maybe outside of hockey, soccer a little bit.
Yeah, but the whole Formula One thing with Haas, this Formula One team, cutting ties with their driver,
Nikita Mazepin.
Yep, because he's Russian and his family company, who is the primary sponsor.
Yeah, Russia Fertilizer Company. I'm going to botch this, but bear with me. Uralkali.
Yeah,
the best I can do with it.
That's about where I would
now
go.
Is coming back at Haas, saying, "Well, if you're going to get rid of our driver, we want our money back for the sponsor money that we paid you." So again, so many twisted, tangled little webs involved in this. Then, of course, in NASCAR, you had not only Rick Hendrick pledging $200,000 to Ukraine, but $2,000 per lap led at the Vegas race, which ended up being almost another $100,000.
Yep. But you got Richard Childress working with an ammunition company wanting to donate ammo to the Ukrainian army.
1 million rounds.
Yeah.
So don't say that NASCAR doesn't get involved. Don't say that NASCAR doesn't care, because they do.
Big time.
All right. Before we move on to on-track activities at Las Vegas and then our picks for the Ruoff Mortgage 500K at Phoenix.
Damn Columbus.
We have to talk about one of our favorite things that nobody else pays attention to, the SRX.
SRX, baby. Yeah. Saturday night shootouts on CBS.
The schedule is set. Starting June the 18th, 2022, the SRX schedule for Season 2 will begin, and they have got some interesting drivers lined up. Ryan and Dave Blaney will both compete in the finale at Sharon Speedway.
Intriguing.
So father and son will both be
at their home.
Yep, the home track. Dave, of course, has invested in Sharon Speedway.
Yep.
Tony Stewart, of course, coming back. Big news, defending his title. We all knew that was going to happen.
Tony, this is the type of series Tony loves.
Yes. Yes, and of course, we're getting some familiar faces back from last season.
Do we have everybody's favorite whipping boy? Is Paul Tracy coming back as the foil?
I have not seen that yet. No. It looks like a lot of NASCAR guys this year. A lot. So I don't know how many people we're going to have from IndyCar. They're not confirmed yet. I checked the SRX website today. They've got the schedule up for 2022, but they're still showing the 2021 racers.
Okay.
But Matt Kenseth will be in at least half the races.
Interesting.
3 out of 6. Greg Biffle is moving to full-time in SRX. So the Biff will be in all 6.
Will be there.
As will Ryan Newman.
Nice.
Newman is
I like it.
Newman's going all 6. Biffle's going all 6. Kenseth committed to 3.
Very cool.
So like I said, it looks like a lot of NASCAR guys are getting into this.
I would love to see some of the IndyCar guys and some of the IMSA.
Yep.
That was fun.
They did say, of course, the Goofus is coming back. Michael Waltrip.
Oh, God, Jethro.
But, of course, our favorite female driver is also coming back.
Haley?
Haley's back. Now, I don't know if she's going to be full-time, probably part-time.
Give her the full-time run.
I love Haley.
She was fun to watch race.
Yes, and I'm not being a sexist pig. I think
she is a damn good driver.
She also happens to be very cute. So
there is that.
All right, so I thought you'd like that SRX news.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. And by all accounts, it did very well Saturday night in the ratings during the summer last year. So let's hope the momentum continues on.
No kidding. Come on, people. Get out there and support it.
Yep.
Even if you have to DVR it, that would be stellar to still support your own local short tracks.
It still counts as long as you watch it, I think, within a week.
Yeah. Watch it the next day.
Yeah. Nobody's saying you have to stay home on a Saturday night like me.
Nope. DVR it. Go out and support your local short tracks too, kids.
Yep. Yeah, and that was ridiculously, unrealistically, the first thing I thought when I saw that they posted the schedule is I had to see South Bend Motor Speedway.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. All right, 2 other NASCAR tidbits. Again, I'm sorry. I keep finding new stuff to talk about. They backtracked on the Daytona car rule that they said, where because the next gen car is so limited in terms of parts, supply chain issues,
blah 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 blah.
They are putting Austin Cindric's winning car in the Hall of Fame Museum
in Daytona, USA for the year.
Yes. Yep. Penske insisted on it. Found some loopholes. Found some ways where he can make it work. He doesn't need the car, doesn't need the parts. So we are going to indeed keep the tradition rolling.
Good. Way to go, Roger.
Yep. So Austin Cindric's Daytona 500 winning car will be on display for the next year.
Excellent.
Now, finally, here we're in the upper Midwest, so this is kind of cool. We have a Chicago-based racing team that is going to enter into 8 2022 Cup races, now mostly road courses. Team Stange, not Strange.
Stange. Is it the number 79?
Yes. Tarso Marquez is the driver. Yes. And it looks like they're going to run mostly, like I said, mostly road courses, starting at Road America, I believe.
It's a good introduction.
Yep. So I got to tell you, I'm not adding all these drivers to our spreadsheet for our competition. I'm tired of it. I was like, should I put Biffle on? Now I got to put Marquez on. I'm like,
no.
There's just a point where I go, no. Too much.
No,
I'm glad all
these
teams. I'm glad all these new teams are coming in. Trackhouse, all these great new teams are coming in. It's great for the sport. We're starting to see now. We're getting closer each and every week to hitting that limit. A little
more parity.
Now at Phoenix, there are going to be teams that won't make it. They are actually going to have to qualify to get in. So we like that. That tells you there's more and more people interested. More and more investors putting teams out there.
And that's healthy. That would make for a healthier sport.
Right. Now, Dave, we sit here for a while, don't we? We sit for a long time, 30 minutes a segment.
Yep.
Do your legs get numb?
A little bit.
How about Tyler Reddick? Tyler Reddick can't feel his legs now in 2 races straight.
You know what? When I drove straight through from northern Indiana down to Little Rock, Arkansas for my uncle's funeral. My legs did not go numb or get tired.
But of course, now they're saying it's because of the new car,
But
the new setup.
the way the seat, the pedals, I can see where that would be an issue. If it's not properly set, I could see where you're going to have a problem.
He thought it was a one-time only deal with Fontana, but it got him again at Vegas. And
that's not good.
We have got to get this figured out because it won't work at Phoenix. I need to be able to feel the brakes.
Yeah,
especially.
That's a health hazard. You cannot have that going on because you're going to cause permanent nerve damage.
These new cars are causing so many issues.
There are a lot of things they have to work out.
These cars are slipping and sliding all over the place every race. Denny Hamlin, of course, tore his car up because of the new shifting. It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes them
to work through on
how
these
long
things.
It takes them to figure this out. Now, of course, now we go on to Vegas.
The one thing that's going to be interesting with the rear ends, the shifting, the legs going numb, what are the road courses going to be like?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Good point. The diffuser. Yeah, the rear end.
With the drivetrain set up the way it is now.
Well, what I was going to say was leading into our recap of Las Vegas, well, of course, Christopher Bell had the pole with the Toyota. Your pick for last week. I felt bad for you originally.
No, I had Keselowski last week.
No, you're thinking of California. You had Kyle Busch this past week. Vegas.
Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going back 2 weeks. Sam had Keselowski. You had
I took Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch tore up his car in qualifying, and they had that spec piece of crap that was for parts.
Yeah.
And they had to take that overnight and turn that into a race car, and it looked like he was going to win the damn thing.
Except for that damn late caution.
Yeah, you and I both got hosed on that. You got hosed more than me.
Yeah, I had a win taken away from that.
Right, my guy got bumped up to the front, but then, of course, his teammate got by him. But I'm like, how the hell do you take a car that you're basically a chassis with parts, turn that into a viable race car the next day and almost win the race?
That tells you that that they don't have to finesse this particular generation of car like they used to have to all the others. Stock out. It's easy to work on now. It's easier to do. There's that much less the manipulation that has to go into the body work or the setups. Everything is a lot easier to tweak now.
And again, it's amazing to me, and that doesn't even just hold for the next gen car, but this goes back years that we've talked about this. I can't stand the fact that my initial thought is always when a guy wrecks in qualifying, has to go to the backup car.
And usually the backup car
they're usually in the top 5 within the first segment.
Usually the backup cars are prepared just as equally as the primary.
And they have no wear and tear on them.
Right. So they know what the setup is. They can put it right to where it should be.
I'm almost like I want to root for my guy to wreck out in qualifying. Oh, my God. But Alex Bowman, as I mentioned, passed my guy Kyle Larson on the last lap in overtime. So Alex Bowman gets the win in race 3 of the 2022 season. That leads us into the Ruoff Mortgage 500K at Phoenix. Well, technically Avondale.
Take the left turn at Albuquerque, kids.
So, gee whiz, I think people are starting to just, I don't want to say desperate. Don't take this the wrong way. But you need points.
Need points, which is where I'm going.
And so is Sam, and so is Aaron with
Mr. Larson.
Again, the odds-on favorite this week to win, as he will probably be almost every week.
Need the points.
Yeah. So Dave, Sam, and Aaron go with Kyle Larson. Nick and Doug go with a really good pick. My second pick, Martin Truex Jr. Jen's pick will be in within an hour. She's still got time. As always, she's busy. New job, new dog.
Art class tonight.
Art class. Bill is going with Kyle Busch, going with the Dirty Bush. I am going with the man whose luck has been shit. And it is time for things to turn around. Mr. Hamlin. Mr. Hamlin needs this. Even if he doesn't win it, I got to figure he's got to post.
He needs
at least 40, 45 points. Going to go with the same logic I had last week with Kyle Larson. I just want to get a big points cushion. Then I can start taking some chances. Yep.
Obviously, you got a decent points cushion right now.
So far, so good. Fingers crossed. Things have been good for me this year. NASCAR has been very, very good to me.
But as we all know, that can change in a heartbeat.
I'm just glad there are no super speedways on the schedule here for a while. So, yeah, you got Hamlin for me, Dave, Sam, Aaron, Kyle, Larson, Kyle Busch for Bill, Nick and Doug, Martin Truex Jr., Mrs. C pending. So, that wraps up NASCAR and racing. A couple other little tidbits.
NHL, Alex Ovechkin notched his 766th career goal, tying Jaromir Jagr for number 3 all-time. Congratulations to Alex amidst all the shit he has to deal with.
Right. And you can feel how you want about that. We're not going to get into politics when it comes to him now. Hold on a second. In a couple minutes, we'll have it come back in. But I do want to bring up, again, tennis. I know you guys go, shut up about tennis. But I still find this whole Federer, Nadal thing fascinating. You know, when we're bringing in the top 3 players of all time. And, you know, Djokovic, of course, is the other one. And who's going to end up having the most major wins of all time? Of course, Djokovic went through all the quarantine crap with Australia, and they kicked him out of the country. And now he doesn't know if he's going to be able to play in the French. Well, Federer still has not officially retired, but now he says he will not be ready to play again until at least late summer.
Ouch.
That tells me he's got to be.
He's on his last leg.
He could be done. Of course, we don't like to talk about soccer either, but 26 injured. And, of course, there were people in the media reporting multiple deaths. I find that irresponsible.
Didn't they just jump the gun on that?
Yeah.
Immediately.
I was seeing multiple deaths at this Liga MX soccer riot in Mexico.
17 deaths is what I saw had been reported.
Yeah, now, after a couple days where everything calmed down, it's 26 injured.
Pardon me.
There are still going to be penalties handed down for this Querétaro team, I guess is who hosted the game.
Ridiculous.
Again, like we talked about with the basketball. So it happens here, it happens in other countries.
This is a regular occurrence with soccer, though. The fucking hooligans.
That's the world sport, right? That's the sport we're all supposed to bow down to.
And that's why you have concertina wire between the fans to keep them separated.
You call soccer football, we have the real football. I don't care. We have the real football. We don't have riots in the NFL. I agree with Dave completely. We don't have riots in the NFL.
Inexcusable. Now, you may have them in the parking lots after games in certain places, but nowhere near this
mostly
type of
California,
situation.
which is supposed to be the most cuddly, lovable, liberal state in the U.S. And usually you get shanked at Dodger Stadium or outside
Candlestick.
Right. All right, I do have a couple dumbasses. We're not going to play dumbass or not this week because I don't have that many. This one, I was initially going to say dumbass, and I could still probably qualify it as such, But this is getting back into politics. Brittney Griner.
Oh, my God.
I don't want to make light of the situation she's going through. She's obviously, as you all know, been detained in Russia. But here's my thing. If you are in Russia and this
how long has she been there?
Down,
how long has she been there playing in Russia? And she's not the
only one. A lot of them go there because they supplement their money.
Right. But she knows what the laws are. And she was dumb enough to still bring an illegal substance in.
And try to get it out.
Why
didn't she just dump everything and I would have just gotten rid of everything except my passport, my ID, and my ticket and said, I just want to get back to America. Especially with all the shit that's going on. But no, she's got to try to smuggle all of vaping and hashish oil through. That's where I was going to go, where she's a dumbass.
Exactly. She knows that shit's illegal.
But I don't want to make light of the situation.
No.
This is going to end up being a Midnight Express type of deal.
It is. But she's been there long enough. She knows the freaking rules. She was a dumbass for trying to bring it out. She should have cut bait and run.
That's what I'm saying. I would have left everything, even remotely controversial, behind. Put it in a trash can and taken the bare minimum. Just get me on a plane the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
But she did not. That's why I was thinking about putting her in as a dumbass.
Yeah, she is. She knew what she was doing. And she stupidly did it anyway.
Okay. So I was not overreacting.
No, that was I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but the more I read and how long she's been there, no, I cannot give her the benefit of the doubt.
See that, and I agree with you. She should know the rules. If you're going into another country, know the fucking rules. I have alluded to this all through the show. The last two dumbasses I have both go back to the NCAA tournaments going on right now, the conference tournaments. Of course, Dave and I have both already said how much we love, quote unquote, Jim Boeheim. His son, Buddy Boeheim, today.
Buddy.
Talk about timely. Here on the 9th, playing Florida State. They blew Florida State out. Good for them. But Buddy Boeheim took it upon himself at one point to punch Florida State's Wyatt Wilkes in the stomach. And of course,
what, you're trying to do your Grayson Allen impersonation?
Everybody's trying to defend him, of course.
No.
His dad, he wasn't that bad. He really didn't do anything wrong.
Bullshit! You do not throw a punch. End of discussion.
This is where I go back to what we were talking about in a previous segment. Why is it all these college basketball coaches condone this behavior? Oh, I don't want to get my players upset. I don't want to discipline. What is wrong with disciplining your goddamn players?
That's what you're supposed to do. As a coach, you were supposed to teach these young men not only how to play basketball, but how to be upstanding individuals.
And I think they all fail. That's my problem with Krzyzewski and Boeheim and Huggins. They teach the wrong things to these guys because all they care about are themselves, their endorsement deals, and how much money in my next extension am I going to get.
Exactly. It's pathetic. And to be the coach's kid and pull that, inexcusable.
Oh, but he's a leading scorer in the ACC. So
I don't give a shit. That's a Bush League move. He should be suspended the rest of the season.
Like we talked about, though, they'll move on and they'll end up knocking off Notre Dame or Miami. You watch. Finally, this is a shame to me because we were talking about all these smaller schools that are making a big name for themselves. Unfortunately, Bryant is going to be in the tournament, but the circumstances with the fight
tainted
with Wagner. Bellarmine. Who? Bellarmine won the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament last night. But guess what, Dave? They don't get to go in to the NCAA tournament. You want to know why?
Why, Kev?
because the NCAA, dumbasses that they are, have a 4-year transition rule.
Oh, bullshit.
Because Bellarmine is in the middle of a 4-year transition moving into Division I.
Oh, this is absolute crap.
Even though they're ahead of schedule, second year in,
This is bullshit.
They win the Atlantic Sun tournament, but because they're in this transition period.
That's bullshit. All right, I got to call out Sacramento Kings. Domantas Sabonis suspended 1 game for making contact with an official. Always a no-no.
Lots of arguments and fighting and people jumping into the stands, and it's
Stupidity.
Just wrong.
Come on, people. Treat your fellow man with dignity and kindness.
Can't we all just get along?
Seriously, it's fucking ridiculous.
Jesus Christ, 30 years later, those words still haunt me.
They're still ring true because nobody has fucking gotten a clue.
Check out the weekend edition. Many, many movies, many music reviews.
Yep. Check us all out on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Stitcher.
It's like a car commercial. We'll see you next week, kids. We love you.